Thicky, is retail back?
I think we've definitely seen like many indicators that it is. I don't know, like ADA, Doge, those. So yeah, I mean, I think
I swear,
that
like, ever since Ada pumped, everything else is pumped.
I believe last week I said Cardano is going to outperform this cycle. I'm going to be very sad because I didn't hold any, but I know it's going to outperform ETH. So, like, what am I doing holding ETH?
What is up, everybody? This is episode 21 of Steady Lads, and we have a good lineup today. As usual, I'm Jordy, CIO of Selena Capital. We have Justin, CEO of Astaria. We have Taiki, the humble farmer, and now amazing YouTube subscribe increaser as opposed to the last 2 years. So we can get into that. And we welcome back our man Thicky. He's with us once again. So I really want to get to Thicky first, given that we haven't had you in a while. I think partly my fault. I think last time we got the timing mixed up, but yeah, Thicky, like how are you doing, man?
doing well, doing well. Been traveling a bit, but glad I can make it this week.
Have you been trading the volatility pretty actively,
Yeah, I say so. Yeah, long and strong.
long and strong? So you have some wife changing money kind of incoming possibly, or
I hope, man. That's the
okay.
dream.
So obviously, like long has been good. Very lately, I think the Fed pivot that we saw this week was the main news, not just for crypto markets but also for traditional markets as well. I wouldn't really call this a pivot. I think I don't know what impressions everybody's had reading the news. Powell has always been a dove at heart, and I've watched his press conferences for many, many years now. And you know, if if the economic activity and the inflation numbers allow him to be dovish, this is his nature. He is a dove at heart. So all this like we're gonna be hawkish and the ghost of Christmas past when it comes to inflation, I think that was never his true self. So markets seem to be happy. Obviously, crypto has joined in on some of that fun. Um, I don't know, like for you guys, or maybe you don't spend all your time on macro as much, but has it been something that has crossed the boundary and kind of come into your beliefs around the market right now?
I think I said this a couple episodes ago, but I sort of proposed the hypothesis that a recession is fundamentally a policy choice, something that was really reinforced with us when we saw everything that happened with COVID and all of the stimulus. And I do fundamentally agree that's the case right now still. I think a recession would be a policy choice, and I don't see the government basically electing to have or let us enter a recession this year. And I see them wanting to do anything they can to avoid that for election purposes. That just makes sense. That's where the incentives are aligned. But I will say, like now, and we were talking a little bit about this before the show, it is so consensus that everything is bullish now that you have to sort of be a little bearish and think a little, there's a little cause for concern because, and Taiki said this earlier, I don't want to steal your quote. At the end of last year, it was so hard to buy, everyone was bearish. And at the end of this year, it's so hard to sell, everyone is bullish. And, the answer is probably somewhere in the middle, like it usually is. So maybe things won't be as good as we were hoping for next year, but it's hard to imagine a very poor outlook.
Taiki, are you also in the camp of if everyone is on the same side of the boat, I want to go to the other side, or what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to fight the tape. I mean, if you look at like core inflation and just CPI as a whole, most of the inflation is in housing, and housing lags. So the narrative around Powell actually, creating a soft landing, the narrative is very strong, especially with just election year. We have the Bitcoin halving, the Bitcoin ETF. It just seems like, I mean, like Justin said, it's really hard to sell right now. So I think it's being a little cautious makes sense. But I think it's really really hard to be bearish. Stocks hitting all time highs. I think you typically don't want to fade all time high breakouts in the indices. And I don't really consider myself to be a macro expert. So if the market tells me to be bullish, then I just think you have to have a bullish lean for the next 12 months.
Yeah, I am on the side of, I guess, the more bearish take. I think that we will get a double dip in inflation. I don't think that was the single time that inflation spikes. And the reason I say this is, first of all, like having stocks at all time high is not, it's not sort of outside the system. It's part of the system. It's part of the inflation system. It ties in. There is a feedback mechanism, and having this wealth effect of, stocks and all assets going up will actually lead to inflation again. And we'll be stuck here, and they may or may not be able to do the rate cuts that the market is predicting that they will be able to do. I think right now the market is saying, we'll get 1 to 2% in relatively short order in 2024. I think that we might get, 1 or 2, but if we do make a run for 5,000, inflation will spike, 3 months later with a small lag. And that makes me a little bit more cautious on the macro side. Meanwhile, crypto, maybe you could outperform for sure. It doesn't mean that stocks crashing would annihilate crypto as well, but
Jordy, a question on that to clarify. So let's say there is a double peak or we get inflation coming back with the Fed's slight easing here. Do you not think it's possible that we could see inflation start to come back a little, but because of the political pressure, rates don't respond in the same way? And in fact, that would actually be quite bullish asset prices because obviously, if inflation is high, that's actually pretty good assets, right? It's like bad for the dollar, but good for your assets. So, is there a world where what you're saying happens, but the outcome is actually different and it's actually quite a bullish scenario for assets?
the bullish scenario for assets basically like currency debasement. There is no scenario where we just have free lunch and everything is just good, but there's no inflation and assets going up. It'll be because of debasement. I do think eventually, because of the debt trap that we're in, that the least bad option will be to engineer a recession and just like let a recession happen. I do think that that will be the way out ultimately from the inflation kind of debt spiral that we're in. So we get these Goldilocks periods for a few months where the market thinks maybe we're going to get a perfect soft landing, and we've just entered one again recently. But I'm a bit pragmatic, and I don't expect this to be smooth sailing, and inflation will rear its head again. So that's my take. NFA, DYOR, and roller coaster emoji.
Applying that to crypto, do you think crypto is different and not part of like the equity universe and crypto will decorrelate, or does this mean now your position has changed a little bit from I think what it's been over the last few months, where you're perhaps a little more bearish 2024 for crypto?
Yeah, and I'm curious to hear what Thicky thinks about this. I do think that we've had a bit of a decorrelation. I do see that, first of all, Bitcoin could do quite well in a narrative of this like debasement and even like a recession, inflationary sort of environment. And because of the wealth effect in crypto and in Bitcoin spreading out, um, we could have, a sustained cycle even without macro being amazing because of that. Like, it just seems like there's enough inflows coming in specifically to the crypto space.
Yeah, it definitely seems like throughout history, there's always like 2 or 3 waves of this before like finally something happens that we can't control, and it kind of like forces austerity. Just trying to draw patterns out of nothing, but like we kind of saw the same thing with COVID and the waves, and like how the forced austerity was like forcing people to get locked in, and then like people just question, oh, why are they forcing people to stay in when COVID's down so much, and then let people out again, and then it starts spreading again, and then there's like I think it's part of human nature, this kind of fractal.
Yeah, it's these like feedback mechanisms, right? Like people go out and then it starts spreading again and they have to go back in, and it's the same thing. Like as soon as the Fed releases the brakes, you start getting the same behavior. And the only positive thing really is that there is this like institutionalization of digital assets that can overshadow a potential dip. I think S&P could have like a 20% dip coming. I think that's definitely within the cards. Would not shock me to see that kind of dip. We'll see. In the meantime, it looks like end of 2020 behavior right now. Like every dip is getting bought there is money on the sidelines looking for dips. There's people that missed the train during this run up, and they are waiting for these 10, 15% drops so that they can buy back in, and that's pretty bullish. So I do see prices being supported, and it does feel like retail is kind of back. Like, Thicky, is retail back?
I think we've definitely seen like many indicators that it is, not just from like social media standpoint, but also just like the type of coins that are pumping. I have a buddy who measures a lot of, I guess, like click through rates on certain coins. He runs like ads on coins, and he just sees which ones have like the most activity. And he's definitely noticed like a pickup in a lot of popular retail names, like I don't know, like Ada, Doge, those kind of things. So yeah, I mean, I think
So like ever since ADA pumped, everything else is pumped.
Yeah, Jordy. That I appreciate you calling that out. I believe last week I said Cardano is going to outperform this cycle. I'm going to be very sad because I didn't hold any, but I know it's going to outperform ETH. So like, what am I doing holding ETH? And I still don't know the answer to that question, other than I just don't have the conviction to hold Cardano through a downturn. I can hold ETH through a downturn, but I can't hold Cardano. And it's sad to see. I mean, this makes our industry a little less interesting or exciting for me. It's like, we know these assets that are vaporware will outperform. It is what it is.
Well, at least like if you start to figure out these patterns, you can put a trade around it. Are these ads that are being run, like, is he trying to just use the normal ads that those projects use, or is he actually trying to make his own ads for them?
I think he mentioned to me he like uses AI to generate like ads, and he just like cycles through which one works the best. I haven't seen an example of them, and I'm not quite sure how the process works, but I thought it was kind of an ingenious way, because like measuring retail flows has always been a difficult part of crypto. Like you can see these flows on exchange, but you can't really see like can't really delineate if it's coming from Robinhood or Webull, of those retail apps, and where it's just typically very difficult. So using these like sort of alternative data indicators has been something that's like quite interesting to me.
And Taiki, have you been seeing a lot of retail back? What's your feeling on this?
Yeah, I mean, Justin, if you can share my screen here. I mean, these are my subscriber counts for the past 18 months, from July 2022 to today. And if it's under the zero line, it's that every time I upload a video, I lose subscribers. But in the past couple of days, I mean, we're still back. I've made more subscribers in the past, let's say, 5 days than I have in the past 18 months. I don't really know how to read this. I don't think this can be used as like a short-term bullish like signal. But I think over like the next 6 to 12 months, I think all the weak hands have capitulated. All the people that wanted to leave crypto has already left, and now we're starting to see a pickup in retail activity. And even I recorded a podcast with Ansem yesterday, and like people love this guy. I mean, I think Ansem's really cool. I think he's been right. And every time he goes on the podcast, people just rush to go in. And if you look at my latest comments, it's like Ryan says Hex is king. Jay Riz says BitTensor is the AI play you're looking for. I mean, it just seems like animal spirits are back. And I'm not really sure how to read into this, but I think a long and strong. Someone took a screenshot. A long and strong lean over for 2024, I think makes sense.
Interesting. I mean, definitely Ansem has crushed the Sol and Sol ecosystem trade. I think he's been getting a lot of attention on that specific one, and we have seen quite a wealth effect there, because it's not just the native token, but also we saw Jito have a crazy airdrop. I think it wasn't many wallets, so very few people actually were part of it. Jito is one of several liquid staking protocols on Solana. I think Marinade is a large one, if I'm not mistaken. And the airdrop was worth, in the end, I think minimum 10K plus. I think at some point 20K. That's come back down. And that kind of wealth effect spreads into stuff like Bonk, apparently, because people are like, oh, I have Solana money. What am I going to do with Solana money? Let's put it in dog money.
I have a funny little anecdote about that, actually. My Solana phone has finally paid off. So Solana phone enjoyers received the bonk airdrop. Didn't know this until like 3 days ago. Randomly on Twitter, I saw someone said, like, I just claimed bonk with my Solana phone. Like, this thing's paid for itself. Sure enough, you download the bonk app on your Solana phone, claim the tokens. I sold them for Solana, and now I'm a Solana holder. So this thing was worth it. I told you guys, you got to try everything.
Yeah, I saw like the 10 million bonk that you get or something is 30 million bonk. I think it's 30 million bonk maybe that you get, and now that's apparently worth like $450. Um, yeah, if you can you just walk into a shop and get one and then just get $450 worth of bonk right now? Is that actually like still active or not?
They did cut the price of these things down to like $500 coincidentally, so there might be something to that.
It's
But I
arbitrage.
don't know if they're still selling these things because we interviewed that our friend from Solana, and he told us that the Solana phone was a failed experiment. So I don't know if they're still selling this thing, but
Yeah, I mean, it's probably some boxes in a third world country where they made them, and those people are going to be going in and trying to get the bonk airdrop off the phones now and try to farm it. Thinky, how are you seeing this like Solana wealth effect? Is this something that you're trying to play, or how are you observing it?
I've been dabbling in it, but I do think like these kind of stories and like the wealth effect. You can definitely see a trickle, like you said, to like Bonk and like these random new meme coins on Solana. It's nice that like there is no gas to be paid. It's very little gas to be paid on Solana for transactions, so it's just very easy for that retail segment to come in and have fun. And I think like this sort of increased activity starts accruing to like the network price when like funds start looking at where the new marginal user is coming in, and you can see that manifest in the Solana price. Like the Bitcoin pair is like close to all-time highs again. It's up maybe like 10-20% just in the past week alone. Yeah, it definitely like it sort of revived the Alt L1 trade, which I thought was at least like 4 or 5 months ago I thought was just completely dead. Like in my mind I was like, why should Alt L1s even have this much valuation if like their network effects are so unlindy compared to ETH? But I guess like here we are with the Sol ETH ratio close to all-time highs.
Thicky, I mean, it's interesting. Like the thesis you had there actually is proven to be true, I would say, but that's not reflected in the price. Like for instance, Solana, it is actually true that no one really uses it. I know TVL is not the best metric, but like TVL is under $1 billion. Of course, TVL is not incredibly important for things like liquidity. I get that side of the argument, but it's not like people are using Solana, bridging in, and then sending their funds back to Coinbase and taking it off the chain. Like the fact of the matter is, there just aren't people using Solana. That could change in the future, but that's not where we're at today. So I think you were right in your thesis, but it almost doesn't matter to the market. Like we were saying before, like the vaporware will still do well.
And for all the attention that I
Yeah.
mean, Solana's gotten so much attention, but ultimately, I was looking at like AVAX and some of these ones, and they're up even more. Like you think Solana's like have like a nice 3x. AVAX was at $8, and then look at it's above 40. And this is not a small coin. I mean, this is like another top 15 coin. So just like billions being created in short order there. Taiki, like, are you surprised by this Alt L1, or is it trade back?
Yeah, I am surprised. I mean, in 2021, I was being this Alt L1 rotator, and when the bear market hit last year and this year, like you said, I thought it was mostly dead. But I think because sentiment has shifted from like doomer to just crazy bullishness, I think people are people are willing to bet on growth now, and they don't really care about what it is right now. It's more the story and the narrative, and if and like because when I thought the Alto one rotation was dead, I thought it was because, well, in the past 2 years, like since the top happened, Ethereum and L2 should establish a bigger lead relative to the Alto ones. But if you look at where Arbitrum, Optimism is right now, I mean, it really hasn't changed since 2 years ago. ZK Sync, the top TVL project, is SyncSwap. It's somewhat embarrassing to this point, and I'm starting to be more open-minded to this idea that maybe the next cycle looks exactly the same as the last cycle, where people just want to bet on infrastructure like layer ones, and it just like we talked about, it does become community money. Maybe ADA becomes community money again. Celestia, Injective, all these L1s. What do you guys think about? Like, do you think the Alt L1 trade comes back, or am I just being
I,
bullish at the Pico top?
I wanted to show something because Taiki, I've actually heard your thesis here of like ETH should have a bigger lead. Totally agree. But actually, so I was looking at DeFi Llama when I heard you say that first, and while it looks like ETH in the blue here for TVL has been flat, I don't think this is the most fair way to judge it because Tron is at 15%, which I do not count as like a legitimate sustainable contender. And if you were to, maybe this isn't the right way to think about it, but if you were to remove Tron from the equation, Ethereum really has outperformed as far as TVL, attracting liquidity, attracting new applications, attracting developers. We're just not seeing it reflected, in my view, because of this, like the Tron Ponzi that's going on, right? Maybe that's the wrong way to think about it.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Tron Ponzi, like His
Oh, whoa,
Excellency,
whoa,
like
whoa,
if you're
whoa!
out there,
We can cut that
you
out if
know,
we need to.
Deeply
we
apologize.
apologize.
No, 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 no,
Apologize on
no,
behalf
no.
of Steady Lads for.
Justin, did you know that Tron is deflationary? Every transaction
Yeah, I take it back. I take it
burns a
back.
little bit of Tron.
I'm sorry. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? Like that is this are these metrics invalid because of the Tron Ponzi? Like has Ethereum actually outperformed and really gained more market share if we take Tron out of the equation? Like I would argue that's the right way to think about it. Of course, price isn't reflecting that, but yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about this?
Well, for like like serious economic activity with large amounts of money, Ethereum is still clearly winning. But during these cycles of speculation, exactly like what Taiki said, community money starts to become a great casino coin to speculate on. We talked about this with Austin. I think that for Solana, like the meme coin of Solana is not Bonk. It is SOL. Like that is the meme coin, the community coin, which doesn't make any sense financially because there's no cash flows and ever coming. We don't know like for the next years. But Anatoly himself says, the gas is so cheap, so even if you burn it, it's not going to do anything for the token price. It's a community money, and that's fine. This is an interesting new primitive that we are discovering in crypto, and it is a very interesting thing to go down that rabbit hole. Solana community is very strong. The meme coin SOL does very well, and we're seeing that with some of the other ecosystems as well, where these coins are detached from the cash flow standpoint.
My take on this is like sort of I sort of echo. There's like this factor in TradFi which has been like studied for a few decades called like betting against beta, where like high beta stocks typically will have like a really large premium relative to lower beta stocks, partly because like there's a distortion where like you get access, certain funds get access to higher leverage through these high beta stocks, so it actually looking like they have more leverage because they're not like if you can go like 50% long this like weird like esoteric stock versus like 200% long S&P, like the 200% long S&P might like violate some mandates or something. So this like it creates a distortion in that like there's a premium for these sort of like lottery ticket stocks. And like a strategy that's like worked persistently is just like shorting the high beta stocks and then going long the lower beta ones. I think AQR famously like wrote a paper on this, and I think this is like very echoey of the sentiment in altcoins, where like a lot of these altcoins, like because they have like a higher potential of a 3-4x rather than ETH, they're higher beta, and they get a premium during times like this where like there's a lot of froth and there's a lot of inflows into the capital markets. But yeah, that's my take on it. You can see this sort of relic also, and if you plot IWM versus SPY, but like the plot here like almost perfectly mirrors what the altcoin versus BTC charts look like. So I think that's an interesting artifact of like human behavior in markets that like is reflected here. Why all these Alt L1s are getting a huge bid relative to ETH.
I also feel like, I mean, this might be like an East versus West thing, where people just say Tron is a scam, or like maybe this is from the Ethereum community as well. But if you actually think about the use case of Tron, it's moving stablecoins around, right? And if you ever worked a job and you're getting paid from a crypto company, chances are you're being paid Tether on the Tron network. And Tron is actually deflationary, which is kind of crazy because they burn part of the transaction fees. And like most of the Tron is already circulating. Of course, I'm not long Tron, okay? Like I'm not saying that like this is a good buy or something, but I feel like the sentiment around anything that's not Ethereum, like L1s with little users is a scam. I feel like that's also kind of this echo chamber that people often fall into the trap to on crypto Twitter. And sometimes what you see on social media is not actually reality. And I think that's also something that people should consider when thinking about ETH versus L1s and whatnot.
Cool. Well, I mean, I think overall, I don't mean to be like the the bear in the room, although it is a little bit my de facto role. I do see elements of what we were seeing during like the NFT mania with some of this like wealth effect stuff right now. There's a lot of new coins, and I think that can only go so far. It's like first principles. You can't just keep having new coins sustain environments and wealth effects, because all you're doing is like looping leverage, and just like the leverage is getting stacked. Leverage is very high right now. So because there is an inflow of users, that's sustainable for the time being, but I'm not sure for how many weeks that will continue to be the case. Hopefully it's going to be quite a bit longer, but I'm a little bit worried because it's so hard to short things when they can rip so hard. And the thing to keep in mind is, the harder it is to short something, the less attached to its fair price it's going to be, sort of by definition, because there's just people buying, and then no one's willing to take the other side of it because they don't want to get blown out and get liquidated. So there's nobody kind of keeping any kind of check on prices, and that's really the most dangerous time to participate on some of these, let's call them like questionable investment tokens.
Yeah, I'm curious though, Jordy and Justin and Tiki, like, what do you guys think about the Alt L1 thesis?
I mean, I think like there hasn't been much innovation in the last 2 years since 21. So like, there's just too much capital looking for somewhere to put it on the sidelines. So it just makes sense to run back the old stuff. But I don't think, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm really excited to short next year or maybe 2025. Like I'm actually really looking forward to that because I think it'll be, I'm longing right now. It's been good, but like I'm really looking forward to shorting stuff because it just can't sustain here. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, like, where do you see the FTV ceiling? There's this FTV ceiling. So in the last cycle, it was pretty obvious that like nothing could hit 100 billion. You got like Dogecoin go to like 80, and like ADA went to 80, and like, but everything, like, as soon as it started to reach that, I think some people were just like, okay, this is getting out of hand, and like nothing could break that. And it was a comfortable short at 100 billion. And then during the bear market, I think that number was like 10 billion. Like nothing could really kind of like Arbitrum, like nothing could really crack that 10 billion. Um, but now we're seeing like the Celestias and the world coins, they're kind of cracking through that 10 billion. It's hard for me to imagine we go back to the 100 billion sort of limit, but is there a number, Thicky, that you have in mind for where you see something and you're like, okay, like this just, it's not going to sustain?
I think using round numbers for like market cap and FTV is probably going to be like a lot higher signal in the bull than in the bear. And same with like TA and chart patterns and trend lines. Like all these things come back when we're so debased from fundamentals. So I do think like I don't know. My world coin's at 25 billion right now, so I don't think anything's breached 50 yet. So we'll see if 50 is it, and if not 50, then maybe 100. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I would say like the larger ones like XRP and BNB have been relatively mild. So yeah, nothing has really started to go back towards that. How many digits is that? Like the 12 digit mark? Nothing's been
Well,
going towards that.
it's harder now because back then like the circulating supply of all these bigger coins was like much lower. It's like maybe half of what it is now. So it'll be a lot difficult to send it up to 100 B FTV now, at least for the older stuff.
Correct. Yeah, I agree, and I think that's why a lot of the Alt L1 promoters that think that they will break all time highs might have a harder time than they think, because the circulating supply is a lot higher. So the per coin, like, just think about something like this. Some of these coins have 10% staking rewards. So the price of the coin now compared to 3 years ago is already also like reflecting, like a 30% additional kind of dilution that's been happening just from staking rewards. Yeah, I'm less bullish that we'll be seeing a lot of all time highs on things like Avalanche and Solana anytime soon.
Jordy, on the Solana note, I mean, you famously convinced me not to go all in on Solana at the exact bottom because of foundation selling. I'm just teasing you, but I mean, there is like what about all that sell pressure that you hypothesized would be coming from the Solana Foundation? Has retail just like eclipsed all of that sell pressure? Have they not started selling yet? Like, what's your thought process there?
uh, Obviously the timing of how things have been sold worked out really well for the FTX tokens and everything else. It has been an amazing amount of kind of perfect timing for Sol as a token. I think one, there's been a need for an altcoin, and it is still the de facto kind of shelling point of what is another coin that's not Ethereum and Bitcoin, and it just has that number three role, and the market really has been demanding for an altcoin, and it kind of like perfectly tied in there. I think they had a very good Solana conference with like Fire Dancer being released and some of the kind of like fundamental improvements there. Then you have all these tokens come on live. Like Pith did an incredible job. Like I'm more bullish the ecosystem stuff than anything else. I mean, it's really incredible on the SPL side. What a change, right? Like from Rollbit 6 months ago, where Rollbit went from SPL to ERC20, and then like 10x in price, and people were like, okay, you just don't do SPLs. Like that's not the way to go. And now it's the exact opposite. Everyone's like trying to do an SPL, so
Maybe they're
that's
going to
pretty
switch
crazy to
back.
see. Yeah. And when it comes to community money, they also have the other thing going for them, which is there's like a narrative, there's a story. Like they've been through a lot. Like that community has been through a lot. They're resilient, and the resilience brings together the community money. And that's something that is really important. Like people underestimate stories, but the reason why Bitcoin is so sustainable through the years is literally just the story of the creation of like Satoshi, and like the fair launch and everything else. So incredible stuff. Happy for everybody in the Solana builder community. They're getting finally like what they deserve, which is like a good look and a good attention, and even some TVL bridging over. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, ultimately, I think there is some clouds at some point. There will be. My only criticism of Solana has never been about the community or the technology. Is literally the tokenomics and the VC holding. And I think if you look at it, it's not good. Like March 2025, there is like a gigantic amount being released, and that's only like a year and a bit away from now. So yeah, these unlocks hopefully don't crush the community. I'm hoping for the best.
If I were to steal man, my short thesis on alts, at least in 2024, it's just like the stable coin market cap has like it's been up like 5 billion since like I guess the Pico bottom, and we peaked at around 170 at the peak of the bull market. So there still is a lot of room to go on the stable coin side, and liquidity is so thin that like not much can move these prices. On the Solana front, like I'm so impressed that they managed to chew through around. They, the FTX estate has sold like $800 million of Solana. They're like 3/4 done with their unlocked tokens, um, which is like kind of insane. I think like we could see like a maybe like a brief pump after they finish selling their unlocked tokens, maybe up to like 100 or something, and then yeah, we'll see from there. But like yeah, if I were to steal man, it would be that like there's there's still a lot more room to go.
I also think, I mean, this is just a great outcome for the overall industry that FTX creditors, I mean, this is going to be a big piece of making them whole from what I understand, which I think is just great for everybody. I did have a question about this though, Thicky. This includes UST, I assume.
Yes.
So it is. I feel like in some ways it'd be more helpful to remove that because all of that UST, about was it 20 to 40 billion, 25
20.
billion or
Yeah.
something like that, couldn't be
Yeah.
used to buy anything because you could never like get that the UST out. But so like maybe we really are higher than we think here regarding stablecoin market cap.
Wait, why is 25 billion frozen?
Well, UST went to zero, so
Oh, no, Terra. Got it.
yeah.
Oh, actually, I don't know if it includes Terra or not. Um, I'll have to figure this out. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe
it looks like
we
it
have to cut
does
that.
because like from June 14th to June 21, it went down like 10.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
it's
Maybe it does. Yeah, it was like 18, I think. It wasn't 20, 25.
okay.
It was like it was like 17, 18. That could be it.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks like we still have some way to go on the stablecoin side. I do want to fit in one segment before we go to our past of the week segment. So we want to do another Meet the Lads segment, and we had a really nice one with Thicky. I think this time we will do Justin. So Justin, if you're up for it, we will meet you today.
Let's do it. Grill me. I'm here.
Yeah. So how
Uh,
did you get started in crypto, Justin? Because like as far as I'm aware, like you had sort of like a non-traditional background.
Yeah, sure. I'll give my speech here. So I was a film major in undergrad, so very untraditional. I went to Boston University and moved out to Los Angeles as soon as I graduated. Started working in the entertainment industry. I worked on the cooking show Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay, and then worked on Family Guy, the animated show with Seth MacFarlane. And the entertainment industry, for anyone listening that works in it or is that thinking about it, you have to put a lot of time in fetching coffee. I mean, that's sort of the stereotype, but it's just crappy work. And I'm just not a good employee, I don't think, generally. So I was just very bad at doing this. And I realized like I wasn't going to be able to sustain myself at Family Guy, spend 10 years there, like picking up lunch until I like finally got a position I wanted or anywhere in the industry. And so I wanted to find a way to fast track that. So I decided to get my MBA from the University of Southern California here in Los Angeles. And for me, this sort of like changed me pretty deeply as a person. And I'd recommend an MBA for folks that are sort of like lost or don't know what they want to do with their life. I was always sort of a slacker, and this sort of corrected that. So while I was there, I worked at Paramount Pictures in strategy and biz dev, which was amazing. Like we were looking at some stuff in blockchain, a lot of AR, VR stuff. It was very cool, very experimental. And ended up moving over to Snapchat, which is also based here in Los Angeles. And this was sort of my first exploration to the tech scene. And I was very lucky because when COVID was breaking out, I became close with someone that was starting a business in the crypto space in DeFi. At the time, I had never like purchased a coin, didn't think it was all a scam, but had no interest in learning more. And this person was like an amazing figure in onboarding me into crypto, like showing me what MetaMask is, what you can do with Ethereum, et cetera, et cetera. Fell in love with the space, started making YouTube videos, found myself as head of growth at Ondo. And then I met my co founder, Joe DeLong, and we had the opportunity to fundraise to build Astaria. And so that's how I got brought here.
So Justin, I think it's pretty clear that you love ETH and you hold the majority of your portfolio in ETH. Like, what's it going to take for you to, I guess, buy more app tokens or other Alt L1s with like a longer term time horizon? Like, what will be like the checkboxes that you need to see in order for you to just not be like all in ETH, right, with your crypto portfolio?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I want to like, I'm happy to criticize ETH. I don't like the Ethereum scaling roadmap. I'm like very impressed with some of the other tech that's being built that's not on Ethereum. For me, it just seems like the perfect asset for a few reasons on the risk curve. One, I think BTC, like the returns are just too muted now. There's this theory that Bitcoin's one cycle ahead of ETH. And so I think like if you want to be conservative and hold an asset that you know with pretty good confidence will be here in 10 years, but won't sort of like underperform the broader market and any innovation and development that we see, like the answer is pretty clear to hold ETH. Like it's possible Solana's not around in 5 years. I don't think you could say the same about ETH. And then as far as like holding DeFi coins, other Alt L1s, like for me, the risky stuff is usually like angel checks that I like to write to support other founders. Like one of the nice things about being in this space and like having a podcast or having a project or just like living and breathing this space is you meet amazing people. Some of the smartest people I've ever met are in crypto, and like having the opportunity to invest with them and like see if you can help them in any way is super rewarding. So I guess maybe I have my own barbell. I have ETH as like the conservative investment, and then I have the angel investments on the far end of the spectrum. I definitely will play around. Like if we get another bull market like we saw with DeFi Summer in 2021, I will be farming stuff. I will be speculating here and there, but I don't think my core position is going to change materially from ETH, like for the foreseeable future, unless something pretty significant changes.
Justin, like you went from getting coffee in the entertainment industry to being a CEO. Do you feel like you have an easy time being a CEO? Like I know CEOs have to do people management and strategy and external and internal and operations. Is there something that you find harder out of all of those tasks?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of harder things about it, and there's a lot of easier things about it. So it's a lot harder emotionally because if you're as an employee at a startup that is successful or unsuccessful, it's still an amazing thing on your resume. And so, like, you're always still progressing your career. But if you're the founder of a startup or like a very early employee, you're actually like betting a lot of your future on that. As if you're a founder that fails, it's like a much worse look, in my opinion, than being an employee at a company that goes under, right? Like that's just sort of how it is. So having that responsibility and sort of like feeling you're bearing the burden of the company's success or failure is like very challenging, and it means that this is basically all you're going to think about 24/7, like while you're doing it. There's really nothing else you're going to think about or focus on mentally. Like you go to bed at night and all you're thinking about is like things that went right or things that went wrong and how you can improve it. But there's some easy things too, or easier things, especially in the crypto space. If you're working with engineers in the crypto space, they live and breathe and love this industry as much as we do. And they are like so personally motivated that everyone here is here for passion. And like, obviously, those are going to be the best people to have on your team. And they're really smart too. So like you learn a lot from them. So there's some hard things, some easy things, but I'm really grateful, and it's an awesome opportunity.
What's your favorite and your least favorite thing about the crypto industry?
So my favorite thing is, I guess, twofold. One is it's super international and the people are very, they're different thinkers. Like going to a conference, you meet some wacky people, you meet people from all over the world. I mean, we're all spread out. Like Jordy and Thicky, you guys are always traveling, always in a new city. And it just feels cool that like wherever you go as a crypto person, there's someone you can meet, like whatever city internationally you're going to. And the people here are like very wacky and out there, but also really smart. So they think untraditionally, which is really cool. So that's the best thing. And the worst thing, I think we all probably feel this, is that it's just a lot of vaporware. I mean, we've been talking about this for like the past hour, right? It's like because the token can launch before product market fit is achieved, we have this like really weird incentive that we don't have with equities because there's a lot of regulation there, and that like a founders can exit before anything is actually done. Cardano is a perfect example here. Like everyone that was early made millions or billions of dollars, even in some cases, and they've never actually delivered anything, and that's like pretty demoralizing. And I think it's also like a really bad look for our industry, in that the incentives are just so misaligned. So I would say like the misaligned incentives and ability for scammers to thrive.
And do you have like a plan to try to hit a certain like number and then you're gonna retire, or like a lot of people in the crypto space have that approach. I'm gonna get here and then I'm done, or are you kind of like the compulsive? I'm just gonna keep working forever and just keep building.
I There's no number, and I would never like fully retire because I couldn't imagine like what you would even do after the first day. Like imagine you made $1 billion and you're like, okay, I'm never working or doing anything again. What the heck are you gonna do tomorrow? Like you're gonna maybe spend time on a boat. I would get bored of that after a few hours. You're gonna travel. Okay, like I've done that. How long are you gonna travel for? Are you just going to then pay your friends and family to not do anything and spend time with you? And then are you guys just going to be sitting around? So I think I always want to be doing something. But I think the scope of that could change. Like in 10 years, if crypto goes to zero, like I'm still going to be doing something else. If crypto is doing really well, I'd love to stay and build in this industry. But I think if you love what you're doing and you have some decent skill sets, like you never want to retire fully. You always want to be working and trying to achieve something, whether that's philanthropic, you're running a charity, something as simple as like owning a bookstore, or owning a coffee shop. I think there's a lot of fulfillment with that.
Do you think there's like a particular thing in your childhood or something about the way you are that like drew you to the degeneracy of the crypto world?
I think that I think I've just always had, I think there's like people in crypto maybe are like more predisposed to ADHD. I don't know if I actually have ADHD or not, but like there's this, it's really nice that like the response windows for like build, actually Thicky, you talked about this and it was really insightful many podcasts ago. You were saying that like it's really cool being a trader. You love doing that because you get confirmation on if you're right within like a day or a week or something like that. It's very fast paced. Obviously as a builder it's slower, but like still in the cryptocurrency industry you're going to get the fastest basically response from the market on if your thesis is right, whether it's from an investment standpoint or from a building standpoint. And I think that is really attractive to me, and that like we're not in a legacy industry, we are in the cutting edge. And like we don't know if crypto will work, it's possible in 20 years it's not a thing, but like if you want to be successful, I feel like, and if you want to have like a leveraged bet on your life, you have to do something that's not fully priced in. Like it's not priced in that crypto succeeds. There's uncertainty, and that's where I think like all of the alpha is in that like we're in a risky industry.
That's true. I mean, I will just point out that not only does crypto attract people with ADHD, if you don't have ADHD and you go into crypto, that was me. I don't think I ever had it, but once I went into crypto, I definitely developed it.
Yeah.
There's just like so much to keep up with that, it's like an immune response. You become an ADHD person so that you can even cope.
Well, it's like the narrative could switch on in 2 weeks, right? Like the narrative for the past 2 weeks is Solana, right? But the next 2 weeks, it's probably going to be something different. And if you can't like pivot and move quickly, you're just not going to make it. If you're an active trader or builder.
You should have seen. So when I visited Jordy a couple weeks ago in Singapore, like we were having a conversation every like 5 minutes. He would like pull up his trading terminal, go click, 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 and then like come back and continue the conversation. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah.
ruined me, man. Like I used to be like this like chess player, I could sit for an hour and just think about a move. And now I need the podcast at 2x. I gotta like multitask with the charts app. Oh man, it's bad. I've seen even worse than me. I think I did a Twitter Spaces with Primo from Layer Zero, and at the same time as like he was actually like talking and going into conversation, I could see him like in all these chats I'm with him on Telegram. He was just like responding to all these other people in text while he was talking. It's like, oh man, Primo is next level.
So it's going to be a top signal when we're all basically like playing a video game or like typing in Telegram on the podcast and like all talking to each other and typing, just like SBF was like right before his downfall.
Yeah, at least hopefully we'll be better at League of Legends if we're multitasking than he was.
Yeah. I mean, I spend so much of my time nowadays. I'm literally just like in bed trading all day, which is like really degenerate. But I could see a future where it's just like you have like an IV hooked up, you have like something like a catheter, and like you're just there all the time, constantly processing information.
Just getting like adrenaline dripping through and dopamine hits every like. Oh man,
That's funny.
this is the world that we're marching towards.
I can see Taiki like laughing in the background. There's muted mic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Justin, if you had one message, I guess, for anyone that is in the crypto industry and trying to like build their own project but like hasn't yet, what would you tell them?
If they're so they're trying to fundraise, they're trying to build something, start from something from scratch, I would say one, you need, and this is advice for a non-technical person because I'm not an engineer, and I think being a founder as a not engineer, you obviously need to have like an amazing technical co-founder that you vibe with, and you should really think of it like a marriage, because, or even more strict than a marriage, because it's much. I think it might be much harder to separate. So work with someone that you work really well with. Be willing to try everything, and I think doing something 0 to 1 is more interesting in our industry. There's a lot of iteration, forks, slap a new UI on it, launch a new token, and let's give it a go. And one, you're not really doing anything useful. You might make money, but it's not that useful or probably fulfilling. So try to do something new. And if you don't have an idea right now, that's fine. Play around, try everything in the crypto space, and surely you'll think of something, because there's so many inefficiencies, and not just like from a financial perspective, from a security perspective, from a wallet perspective, all of those things, bug bounties, audits, like all of these things need a ton of work. And it really is like the first inning as far as this stuff goes. And there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for letting us meet you, Justin.
Thanks
Maybe
thanks
you'll,
for meeting me.
yeah, Justin, maybe thanks for letting us meet the lad, Justin, today, and let's see if you can actually win Pasta of the Week as well. Do like a back to back, and maybe break that macaroni ceiling. I will say that I'm starting to see more people on Twitter tag either me or the lads in general for Pasta of the Week. So please keep doing this. We love this, and we're actually like my choice of the week is something that I got tagged into. So we can bring this up, and thank you to our listener Baz. So this is a great pasta. The context obviously is blast and all these like blur, all these things with points where you're farm dropping points. You're not even getting a token. You're just getting points, and this is an epic pasta. So the guy says, "My girl's been giving me sex points instead of actually having sex with me recently. I have to do things like wash the dishes and give her foot massages to earn extra points. She keeps promising that real sex is gonna get airdropped soon. I can't wait." So this is the this is the stuff that I love to see. It's
How
like
are
these
you going to
inside
tell
jokes.
me I have a chance of winning Pasta of the Week and you pull this beauty out, Jordy? I don't know if I can top that.
I mean, I have to thank Mr. Old School here for bringing this up, but
Mr. Old
yeah,
School, tag me directly next. I will feature you because I never have a good pasta.
yeah, give Justin a chance next time.
Yeah.
You might have swung it my way. We'll see. Taiki, how about you? Do you have a good one this week?
Yeah. So for my pasta of the week, I think we all have bear market PTSD, right? We see markets go up, and our first reaction is, "Oh my god, like it has to come down." But I do want to bring this DJ Spartan meme from February 1st, 2021, where it says the normies are coming, dump on them. Wait, but if you dump on them now, you won't have any coins left. Don't dump on them. But if you don't dump, how do you profit? Dump on them slowly. Uh, like I've been farming a bunch of stuff, for example, like on base chain, and I have to remind myself, okay, like I have to dump on people slowly, okay, and I think that people have to start thinking about, okay, like let's be more opportunistic. The markets, just we've endured 2 years of pain. I think the next 2 years are probably going to be better, and I think yeah, just long and strong, be bullish, don't take on too much risk, but yeah, that's kind of my pasta and some, I guess, general advice.
Yeah, I think DJ Spartan is always you know kind of tongue in cheek, but saying it saying the unspoken thing out loud. Um, Vicky, how about you? What's your pasta this week?
This is mine. So yeah, these are charts of just like test scores decreasing across the years, which is like an interesting phenomenon. I actually don't know why this is happening. If you guys have any theories, but this guy says, "How can you look at this chart and be bearish altcoins?" Which is like very indicative of the sentiment right now, because like some of the dumbest stuff is pumping right now. A lot of AI vapor, a lot of just like complete dead coins, garbage. FTT is like up 300% on the year. But yeah, I think this is a good thesis for why you should be looking for like the most toxic stuff and trying to long in to the end of the year.
That's just grim, though. This is just grim.
For sure, it is grim.
Do you have a sense of which of these skills matters the most for altcoins? Is it being bad at math? Is it like not being able to read, or is it like not having any scientific basis?
I think it's all three, to be honest with you.
All three.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the one you've chosen. This is your contender. This is your horse in the race.
This is my horse in the race. I won't pick that. I'll save that one for next week or something.
Well, do I get the privilege to do too? As I was featured this week on Meet the Lads, and I'm like just an underdog here. I feel like I get the right to share two pastas.
All right, let's do two.
So the first one here, I got to shout out my co-founder, of course, who's killing it on Twitter always. But Ledger Connect was there was a compromise this morning. Hopefully, all the viewers are Safu. But Joe says Ledger Connect Kit has been compromised. I would recommend never interacting with the DApp ever again, and honestly, just move on with your life. You're 30 already. Maybe meet a nice woman, settle down, have some kids, and start writing enterprise Java. And this really hit home today. I actually just turned 30 as of today. And so for me, this was like, I woke up, Ledger was compromised, and I literally thought this. I was like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, people should not be self-custodying. Let's move on. We're going back to the banking system. So that that was my first entry there.
Justin, did you just say you turned 30 today?
That is correct.
Whoa.
Oh man. Oh man.
Yeah.
So I think you're gonna win pasta of the week, not because of your pastas, but because you slipped that into the
Yeah.
conversation there.
Just a sympathy vote that I'm spending my birthday on the Steady Lads pod.
Wait, what are the odds that we didn't meet the lads on his 30th birthday? Did you know, Jordy?
That's pretty wild. I did not know.
The stars were aligned.
This second pasta here comes from China. I don't know if you guys have seen this video. It's pretty nuts, but effectively, it looks like there are these seminars happening where Chinese grandmas are teaching other, let's say, seniors and elder folks and people that traditionally wouldn't be using crypto how to onboard onto MetaMask, how to use Binance, how to swap into shitcoins. And this appears to be real. We've seen a few other videos like this go around. You can see a BRC20 poster on the wall there. I mean, this is just nuts. Like, this really goes to show, like, maybe what we're seeing in the West is not what's representative of the world, and we should all just be aping in like crazy, because this is nuts.
I got to give my vote to Justin, not because it's his birthday, but it's because I actually saw that in Joe DeLong tweet, and I chuckled to myself in bed before it was featured on the show. So, yeah, I really like that one. It's hilarious.
Thank you, Vicky. I've got one vote.
Yeah, I think my combination of Chinese grandmas and double pasta and 30th birthday, it was slid in very right time during pasta of the week. I think Justin, congratulations, you're the master chef of the week. If our listeners, if you guys want Justin to win next time, I think maybe help him out with tagging him on Twitter on some nice pastas, and maybe he can go back to back. So hope everyone is doing well, and we'll catch you guys next week.